Hi everybody, welcome to another literacy lesson. We're going to be starting off with our vocab masterclass. Make sure that you have got your pen, paper, whatever you need to write with, and you will also need your plan that we did, not yesterday, but the day before, okay? Because we're going to be writing the last part of our information booklet today. So let's start off with our masterclass then. Today's word is value. I'll say it and then you can say it. Value. Value. Fantastic. Let's break it down into syllables now, the beats of those words. Ready? Value. 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 It's got 2 syllables. Well done. So value means how much money something is worth. And you can see from my pictures here that I've got a pile of money and I've got somebody giving some money to somebody because they're paying for something. They're paying the value of the thing that they want. So that's what value means. It's how much money something is worth. So you might say that the value of a banana in the shop is 10 pence. Okay, so it's how much money something is worth. So the word value is a noun and it is also a verb. So what is a noun? Tell somebody in the room, what's a noun? Fantastic. Person, place, or a thing. So we can say that something has a value. It is worth an amount of money. Or we could use the word value as a verb. What's a verb? An action word. Well done. So we can say that we want to value something. We want to give it an amount of money. So here is my example sentence. All words have an unseen value. Let's read it again together with our Kung Fu punctuation, and I want you to say the target word in a big voice. All words have an unseen value. Bang. Well done. Now it's your turn. I want you to use the word value in a sentence, and I want you to tell that sentence to somebody in the room. Value. Fantastic. So here are a few that I came up with. I really value your opinion. I'm using the word value as a verb here because I'm saying that I appreciate somebody's opinion. I am really putting a lot of worth behind what they have said. He valued the necklace at £3,000. So he looked at the necklace and he thought it was worth £3,000. This is also a verb, but what can we see is at the end of this verb? What suffix have I stuck on to the end of value? Fantastic, the letter D. And what do we know about words that end in ed when they are verbs? Fantastic, well done. They are past tense verbs. So this is a past tense verb. We know that this happened in the past. So value, has it got any synonyms and antonyms? Synonym means a word that's the same. Antonym means a word that is the opposite. It's not got any antonyms, but it does have some synonyms. So it could also mean cost. If you're thinking about value being something where it's talking about money or something that you want to buy, so you could say cost instead, or you could say appreciate. Appreciate. And that's more about when you're thinking of valuing somebody's opinion or feelings, you appreciate how they are feeling. So let's recap our word. The word is value. I'll say it, you say it. Value. Fantastic. What's the word? Value. Well done. And what does the word value mean? Tell somebody in the room, what does the word value mean? Brilliant. So value is about worth, isn't it? It's about how much something is worth. And lastly, can you put it into a sentence? Brilliant. So you might have said, I really value your opinion. Or you might have come up with your own super sentence. Well done. Okie dokie. What is this then? Let's move on to our literacy lesson. What is this? Fantastic. It is the life cycle of a frog. Let's see if we can remember what each stage is. First, we have frog spawn. Well done. The frog spawn hatches and becomes a tadpole. Fantastic. And eventually the tadpole will grow legs. Brilliant. And then it'll grow more legs and it becomes a froglet. Well done. And then finally it loses its tail and it's now an adult frog. Brilliant. An adult frog will lay more eggs to start the cycle all over again. And we got a letter, didn't we, from the lady who wrote Tadpole's Promise, and she wanted us to help her with something. Can you remember what she needs help with? Why does she need help? Brilliant. She needs help because butterflies are being swallowed by frogs because they do not know that tadpoles turn into frogs. And what has she asked us to do? Brilliant. She asked us to help her and make a booklet so that we can tell caterpillars and butterflies what happens to tadpoles. So today we are writing the last two sections, the third section and the fourth section. But what are these sections about? I want you to have a look back at your plan. You've got a couple of clues here to help you to see which are the third and the fourth sections. And I want you to tell somebody in the room, what is the third section about? What is the fourth section about? Pause the video, off you go. Fantastic. So the third section is about froglets and the fourth section is about adult frogs. So that's what we're going to be writing about today. We're going to be writing about froglets and adult frogs. What are we writing about? Brilliant. Froglets and adult frogs. So I'm going to need your help to start off my third section. Can you remember what the first thing is that I need to write? My subheading. Well done. So I'm going to write my subheading first. And the subheading for my third section is froglets. I'm going to take that straight from my plan and I'm going to underline it because it is my subheading. Froglets. Now, what do I write next? Am I just going to copy straight from my plan and write it on here? No, I'm going to look at my success criteria to help me. So the first thing on my success criteria says, write a topic line about a subheading to introduce my paragraph. So I need to introduce my paragraph. My paragraph is going to be about froglets. How could I introduce froglets? What could my first sentence be? Share your ideas with somebody in the room. Brilliant, well done. So I need to think about what my first sentence could be to introduce the topic of froglets. Now remember, we're writing this for caterpillars and butterflies who don't know what froglets are. So far, we've told them what frog spawn is and what tadpoles are. Froglets are the next stage in the life cycle. So I think it would be a good idea to write about what happens next. So I'm going to start off my paragraph by saying, after the tadpole grows, what does a tadpole grow? Fantastic, it grows legs. After the tadpole grows legs, it becomes What does it turn into after it's grown its legs? A froglet. Well done. So that is my topic line, and I'm going to give myself a tick in my success criteria because I have introduced my next topic, which is froglets. So after the tadpole grows legs, it becomes a froglet. So now that I have done that, I'm going to look at the next thing on my success criteria. It says use my plan to help me with ideas. So now that I've introduced my topic, I'm going to use the information from my plan to write the next part of my paragraph. So after the tadpole grows legs, it becomes a froglet. I'm going to start my next sentence by saying, froglets have. What do froglets have? Let's look at my plan to see what I have talked about froglets having. So I've said that froglets grow lungs, so they can breathe on land, and they have tails, and the tails are important because they contain food. So after the tadpole grows legs, it becomes a froglet. Froglets have lungs. I have taken that straight from my plan. Froglets have lungs. Why do they have lungs? Tell somebody in the room why froglets need lungs. Brilliant. So froglets need lungs so that they can breathe outside of the water. So that's what I'm going to write. Froglets have lungs so that they can breathe on land. Can you see how I am copying from my plan, but not exactly? Okay, I am using the information I've put in my plan to make new sentences that sound really good in my non-fiction booklet. Let's read it from the beginning. After the tadpole grows legs, it becomes a froglet. Froglets have lungs so that they can breathe on land. Brilliant. What else do I know about froglets? What else have I mentioned in my plan? They still have tails. Their tails are important because they contain food. Okay, I'm making a really conscious effort here. I've written the word tails twice in my plan. And I think that when I write in my piece of writing here, I'm going to try not to use tails twice because it makes my writing more interesting if I use a pronoun instead of writing about their tails. Okay? So, froglets have lungs so that they can breathe on land. I'm also thinking, do I really want to start my next sentence with froglets again? After the tadpole grows legs, it becomes a froglet. Froglets have lungs so that they can breathe on land. Froglets have tails. I think it would be nice to start my sentence with a different word. So I'm going to have a look at ways to improve my information booklet. Okay, I'm having a look at this section here because that's going to help me to make my writing better instead of repeating myself all of the time. So I could use the pronoun they instead. Froglets have lungs so that they can breathe on land. They also have tails. Time adverbials. I don't think this would be a good place to put a time adverbial because I'm not going to say next they grow because I've already talked about what they've got. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with that original idea and I'm going to say they. So froglets have lungs so that they can breathe on land. They still have tails. Now I could just write the next sentence from my plan which says their tails are important because they contain food. But as I said before, I don't want to keep repeating myself because it just makes my writing sound really boring. So I'm going to try to think of a way to make it more interesting. They still have tails. And I'm trying to say that tails are important because they contain food. Froglets have lungs so that they can breathe on land. They still have tails. I am going to use because I think, so I've pinched that from my plan, but I'm going to talk about how they're important. They still have tails because they contain food. I'm still thinking, and I'm not sure that I've liked it. Do you have an idea? Talk to somebody in the room. What could I write? They still have tails. What am I going to write next? Tell somebody in the room. So in the end, I decided to say, they still have tails, which are important because they contain food for the froglet to eat. So again, I have copied from my plan, but not exactly. I have just used it to help me with my ideas, so I can now give myself a tick. Finally, I need to check that all of my sentences are about froglets. So I'm going to read through my writing, check that it makes sense, and check that every little thing is about froglets. We did the same thing yesterday when we were writing about frog spawn. And once I've done all of that, I can think about improving my writing. But this time I was thinking about it whilst I was going along. So I don't think I'm going to need to change anything in my writing, but I'm still going to read it to check. After the tadpole grows legs, it becomes a froglet. Froglets have lungs so that they can breathe on land. They still have tails, which are important because they contain food for the froglet to eat. Fantastic. All of my sentences match my subheading, and I've checked through to see that it makes sense and made sure that my capital letters and full stops are correct and that I have spelled everything correctly. So now I'm going to move on to my next section. So this is my fourth section. I want you to tell the person in the room what my subheading is going to be for this section. Fantastic. It's going to be adult frogs, the last stage. Now, I already decided that straight away I want to start off with a time adverbial to introduce this paragraph. So you can see that I'm still thinking about what my topic line is going to be. And I've decided that because I could use time adverbials to improve my writing, I'm going to start off with that straight away so that I can start with a bang and make people really interested in what I'm reading, what I'm writing, sorry. So straight away, I'm going to come in with a time adverbial. Talk to the person nearby, and I want you to tell them what time adverbials you can think of. What time adverbials can you think of? Remember, they describe the time, okay? So they're talking about when something happened. Brilliant, well done. So I have decided that I'm going to write eventually froglets become adult frogs. And I've remembered to put a comma after my time adverbial. And eventually, froglets become adult frogs. Brilliant. So eventually froglets become adult frogs. It introduces my next topic, which is an adult frog. So I can give myself a tick here because I've introduced my next topic with a topic line. Eventually, froglets become adult frogs. Now I'm going to start to describe what adult frogs look like using the information from my plan. Adult frogs do not have tails. They do have legs and long tongues. Their legs help them jump. Their tongues catch flies. The frog lays eggs to start the life cycle again. So I'm going to start off by saying they do not have tails. Eventually, froglets become adult frogs. Adult frogs do not have tails. Full stop. Adult frogs do not have tails. What do they have? Tell somebody in the room, what do adult frogs have? Brilliant. So they do have legs. How could we describe those legs? Trying to make my writing more interesting. Think of some adjectives, write them down, or tell somebody in the room, how could I describe a frog's legs? Brilliant. So I could say they have strong legs. They have long legs. Adult frogs do not have tails. They do have strong legs, which they use for, what do they use them for? For jumping. Fantastic. As well as this, they have what? Brilliant. Long tongues, just like it says in my plan. But their tongues aren't just long, they're also very sticky. As well as this, they have long, sticky tongues to catch, I'm going to say, insects. Because even though they do eat flies, we know from our book that they also eat butterflies. And if this piece of writing is for a butterfly, it's important that they know that their tongue could catch them as well. Let's read through what I've written so far. Adult frogs. Eventually, froglets become adult frogs. Adult frogs do not have tails. They do have strong legs, which they use for jumping. As well as this, they have long, sticky tongues to catch insects. Now, I've not written everything out of my plan, but I have a few more things that I could write, maybe about them laying eggs and starting the life cycle all over again. But I've not got time for that at the moment, so I'm going to explain to you what you're doing. Just like yesterday, you are using the templates to finish the last 2 parts of your information leaflet. Okay? So you're finishing off your information leaflet, just like I've done. If you need a bit of help with it, then you can look at the 2-star or the 1-star challenge to help you. This is the 1-star challenge. If your plan is the 1-star challenge plan, then this is what you need to do. Okay, because this is going to make more sense. And I'm going to run you through how we did it just like yesterday. So the first thing you need to do is you need to write the words for the symbols. So what is this? What is this creature? Fantastic. It's a froglet. So froglets, so that they and go for the first time. What do they have? Froglets grow legs. Froglets can jump. Froglets food in tail. Froglets on land. Froglets long tail. Froglets have lungs. It's up to you. I think froglets have lungs makes more sense. Froglets have lungs so that they, what can they do? You're using the information on there to help you. So I've chosen have lungs. What do they use their lungs for? Well, they use them to breathe, but I've not got this on here. So now I'm thinking, have I chosen the right thing? I'm going to say no, and I'm going to try again. So if it's not have lungs, what is it? What do they grow so that they can do something else? Well, they grow legs, don't they? Froglets grow legs so that they can jump. Brilliant. I think I'm on the right lines this time. So froglets grow legs so that they can jump and go for the first time. Where do they go for the first time? Brilliant. They go on land. They store to eat. What do they store? They store food in tail. Fantastic. And once I've filled in all of those spaces, I'm going to write up my full sentences onto the template. Now, if you're just writing your up from your plan and you get a little bit stuck, you can use the 2-star challenge to help you. And it's got a word frame for you. Now you're following the path. So all of those can go together and all of those can go together, but we're not mixing them up. So froglets grow 4 legs. That makes sense. But if I said froglets grow dry land, that wouldn't make sense. I could maybe say froglets grow a long tail, but try to stick with what goes in the same line. So they have a long tail. Froglets jump onto dry land. So you're circling the ones you want to write, and then you are going to write it onto your template. Thank you so much for listening. I'm looking forward to seeing your finished information booklet that you're going to be sending in to me and Miss Hamame. Bye, everybody.